welcome along to our first session here on Fooltime. I want to send a shout out going out to our sponsors, Racetrack Motors, of course, they're down there on Grey Street. Now, we welcome to the show, as usual, first of all, Mr. Raa Walker. Morning, bro.
Yeah, morning, bro. Good morning, boys. Another great day in G-Town here. The sun is shining, so, bring on winter, I suppose. Still a little while off, but we'll take the sun while we get it, Keith?
Indeed we will. Also joining us from up there in Paeroa, we have with us Rino Wilkinson. Morning, bro.
Yeah, morning, boys. Morning, Saturday morning. Looking not too bad here in Paeroa. Blue sky to wake up to, so bring on another show of Full-Time.
And also joining us from over there in Australia, we have with us JT, Jason Tawhiwhirangi. Morning, bro.
Yeah, g'day, boys, and it's a lovely morning here in Queensland. 21 degrees just after 6:30, so might get the waders out and go for a bit of a dip.
Indeed. Now, first off, of course, on Thursday was quite a significant day, especially for people in Australia and in Australia and in New Zealand. Of course, we'll start off with you, there, JT. What did you get up to during Anzac Day?
Yeah, got up early and snuck down to a service here in Surfers Paradise. Now, the reason I went to that one is because last year they didn't accommodate the Kiwis or New Zealanders with playing our anthem because they said that it was they didn't have time. And I timed the anthem not long after that. It takes 2 minutes if both verses are sung. So I think it was disgraceful and disrespectful to us as a nation and part of the so-called Anzac Brotherhood that they didn't play our anthem last year. So it was bombarded this year by a lot of New Zealanders, and I can assure you they damn well played it this year.
Awesome stuff. Way to go. Anyway, what about you, Reno? What did you get up to during Anzac?
Yeah, up early years in the morning. You stood obviously doing the morning show and off to the service and the dawn ceremony up on the local Primrose Hill. Biggest crowd I've ever seen attend that one. It was massive. Actually, you couldn't even get a car park. You had to walk. So it was a big presence there of all ages. Wow. Then I went down and joined in with the parade through the main street just before 9. Sat there and amongst all the people in the hall and listened to everyone speak. Inspired by so many young ones. You can see it in their eyes, the passion when they speak when it comes to Anzac, especially the local head boy and head girl from Paeroa College, just outstanding. But also the touching moment was the mayor, who's been mayor for 36 years, just like Meng Foon, has decided to step down and won't be seeking re-election in local government this year. So it was a bit of a somber moment when he spoke. His last ever speech as a mayor here in Hauraki. So John Tregler, as Ming would know, has had many meetings over the years. So, yeah, very, very fitting day on Thursday.
Excellent. What about you, Ra?
Yeah, our marae up in Tawhiwhirangi we were on duty for Anzac, and a good turnout of whānau and former, veterans from the military. About 300 people turned up, and guest speaker was our very own Mr. Mayor, Meng Foon. So, big ups to the whānau who helped out there. And, apparently by all accounts, another Anzac Day done and dusted, and, all good.
Well, I came into work nice and early. We had we took the broadcast, of course. Martai Smith was hosting or emceeing the one up in Auckland, which was shown on Māori TV. So we took that broadcast there till around about 7 o'clock. Later on, I think around about 9 o'clock, I went downstairs, and of course they were having their civic service, which was started just down here at the Wipere Memorial, and then they went off to the cenotaph up after that. So I guess in a ways, I also participated in my own small little way as part of the Anzac commemorations, which is quite an important event, certainly here in New Zealand, and it's pretty much the same over there, AJT?
Yeah, and it just seems to get bigger and bigger every year, which is a good thing. A lot of the youth here, it's I'm not sure it's part of the curriculum, but it is a massive thing here amongst the Australian psyche,
Mm.
and to see the kids and young people out there showing support for those that served and fought and went away. And look, I'm not the view that I'm not a big fan of war, but you've got to respect those that put their lives on the line to go and fight, whether or not the reasons are right or wrong. And in regards to Gallipoli, look, I think we were used as cannon fodder by the stinking bombs, in particular Churchill and his band of cronies. And he says, we'll just sacrifice some of those Antipodeans, meaning us and the Australians, and it's all good. This, we'll save our troops and we'll sit at the back and drink whiskey and smoke cigars. But big, massive turnout here every year, and
Now, were there any young ones? Because one of the things that I've noticed over the years that a lot of young ones have been, maybe not so much but a lot more of the our young people have been going to these services. Was that the same up in Tolaga there, Raa?
Yeah, you'd see a lot of the future generations sort of, showing up, turning up, and being brought by their whānau to the events, and good to see, because as each year goes by, we tend to lose a few of our old veterans. It's just the nature of time, sadly. So it's good to see that a lot of Kiwis, they still remember those that fought and gave, for their country. And as JT said, war's never a good thing. And so sad that it happens at all, to be honest.
One of the good things, though, hey Rino, is seeing, some of the youth, a lot of the youth actually showing up to these commemorations, as you were talking about up there in Paeroa as well, eh?
Yeah, it's just noticeable right throughout the whole of the motu, bro, throughout the country, these young ones, and we're talking as young as primary school kids being part of maybe the parades, but also just Sydney in general, whether they're under the umbrella of St. John's, Scouts, or any volunteer organisation. They just sit there and listen to it, and you see them walk up there, put the wreaths in the local war memorial halls. You'll see them on the telly, and you see a lot more now on social media, obviously, but yeah, it's huge, and these are young ones. Back in my day when I was young, many years ago, I can't recall actually going to be part of the Anzac side of it. But today, mate, there's kids everywhere that are just enjoying every 25th of April, and it just gets bigger and bigger right throughout the whole country.
It certainly does seem to get bigger and bigger, especially for the youth. And it's been quite noticeable, certainly here. Not that I go to too many Anzac Day commemorations, but the ones I do go to, I will say, they make their presence known or shown. That is for sure. Is it pretty much the same over there, JT and Aussie?
Yeah, definitely. It's almost like it's probably, I'd say, rivals Christmas Day has been one of the most important days on the calendar over here. Australians are a very proud nation, as they fair enough, and I've got a lot of ex-servicemen friends that I work with over in Nauru, and they live for this day. It's a day to commemorate and to be proud of what they've done, whether they've served or been over to Afghanistan, the Middle East, and wherever else. So yeah, absolutely, it's a huge day here, Keith, and rightly so.
Indeed, and of course, if we turn to say rugby league, because that was a big thing, obviously, with the Anzac commemorations, starting off with the Dragons and the Roosters, eh, Rino?
Yeah, good game there. Roosters, obviously, I just got it there at the tail end of the game with the try to the front rower. But Duffy, the man of the moment for the old Dragons, what a try he got. This kid's got speed to burn, and it's just that little mistake at the end where the Roosters got there in the end. So good game, good way to start it. But obviously everyone was talking about the initial start to the game too, the build-up with the Anzacs. They take it to the next level in the NRL, and it's great to see. Just great to see what they've done, especially on that day being the Thursday. And yeah, this Roosters team looking like the one of the top teams to knock over this year for the season.
14-0, I think it was at halftime, wasn't it, JT?
Yeah, it was, Keith. The Roosters jumped out to a bit of a lead there, and credit to the Dragons, they didn't chuck the towel in because it looked like it could have been anything. And a bit of a repeat of last week's match when they played the Storm for the Roosters. They got that lead and then sort of went off the ball a bit and allowed the opposition back. And so credit to the Dragons for actually coming back and making a game of it. But yeah, Roosters lucky to get that last try and put a bit of breathing space between them and St George.
Now, because it was quite late, I couldn't really stay up for the next game, the Warriors and the Storm, but it certainly had its what would you call it, moments there, didn't it, Reno?
Yeah, this is the Warriors team. Obviously, we didn't know what kind of Warriors team was going to turn up on that big game. Always the annual battle is a big clash against the Storm, and normally the Warriors would come off with a big hiding. Most have written off the Warriors team, and I mentioned on Wednesday on halftime I written them off, obviously with a few key players ruled out with injury and these young ones coming on through. But I was told I was actually eating my words because the Warriors actually turned out to play. Gutted that they lost the game, but that's the way it is. We could sit here and argue about the refs call as such, but it doesn't matter. 13 points to 12 stands. That's the result it was. The Storm team just got there in the end by the inspiration of their main man, Cam Smith, and a little drop kick at the end there as well. But I've got to give credit to the Warriors. They turned up to play. Even a couple of the senior players and the young one, Herbert in the centres, he made his debut.
Yes.
It's going to be interesting to see what Steve Kearney does with him in a couple of weeks. When they're back home here at Mount Smart Stadium. So we'll see what happens. But, be proud of the Warriors. They turn out to play. That's something different you don't normally see on the Anzac Day.
Well, because I said on Wednesday myself that this should be one that the Warriors will probably win because of the fact that they are so inconsistent. They usually win the ones they're not supposed to win. and there's a lot would have said they weren't supposed to win this one, which meant, for me, that they were going to win. But you were quite right. They didn't win. But, boy, I tell you what, it was a close one, wasn't it, JT?
Yeah, a bit too close for comfort for my liking. And like you said, the Warriors, for some reason, whenever they play Melbourne, they always tend to aim up, especially when their backs are against the wall. I mean, I can go back as far as, the 2008 playoffs when they finished 8th and they beat us with that try to money butterfly. I can go to 2011, the preliminary final to qualify for the grand final. They come out of nowhere and beat us again. So there is a little bit of history there. So fortunately from a Storm perspective, they haven't beaten us for a bit of a while yet. So, and most experts would have written the Warriors off, and in fact we're putting 50 points on the scoreboard. So for them to turn up and play the way they did, nothing but credit, and I actually felt sorry for them. I really did. I was watching with my mum and my sister, and I thought, that's disappointing, but I was ready to shut down my social media and turn my phone off if we didn't get across the line, and I sort of reflect on it later. I thought, that's a very, very disappointing result, and probably, I'd go as far as to say the better team definitely lost, and a couple of calls there towards the end which were probably a little bit controversial. I actually thought the penalty was a 50-50, and luckily for us it went our way on that occasion. But yeah, credit to the Warriors. They actually proved a couple of things that they can turn up and play, and they have got a bit of heart in there. And I think they've found a good replacement for Kata. I think Kata is gone, never to be seen again in a Warriors jumper. That Patrick Herbert was sensational. And I also like the composure of young Chanel Harris-Davida. He just got it the side around, didn't look flustered at all in front of a big crowd in Melbourne on a very auspicious occasion. And he was very good. So just unlucky there. And also their forwards, Parsi and the bloke they got from St George's, name escapes at the moment, they were pretty good too. So yeah, big ups to the Warriors. Although the lingering question is, can they continue that moving forward? I'm not so sure.
I'm sure that they won't. They won't continue, but they'll still. What I mean is that they won't. I think they'll go off the ball once or twice more, and then make a huge comeback near the end. That's what I'm picking. Now, what were your thoughts there, Reno, about the game?
Yeah, I'm exactly the same as JT. I was gutted. I was really gutted because I thought, me and the wifey would jump in the lounge and do my lifestyles on the mattress and watch the game. And I surprised myself. I kept my bloody eyes open because it was so late. But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. It was hard for me to get back to sleep after it finished because I thought the better team that lost should have won their game. They just brought their whole game forward, and these young kids, JT's right. I think Kata, his day's over, and this young kid, Patrick Herbert,